We're Fontaines D.C. and our album is called Dogrel. Basically, it's a reference to this kind of traditionally working class form of poetry that was kind of carried on through, like kind of like stand-up performances in pubs and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, it was an artistic tool basically to establish within the Irish culture its own identity, you know. I think our album was largely inspired by sort of feeling like we were a bit kicked to the curb by the state that we were living in. We're just fed up of sort of feeling like all of our aspirations and ambitions could never be realised or encouraged by the state that governed us, you know, and that was probably partly what drove us to drinking and writing. And we used poetry as a medium through which we could express ourselves, but also kind of discover ourselves through each other. Our album was kind of inspired by that time, which was kind of like a coming of age and also a kind of rekindling of youth simultaneously.
My childhood was small. My childhood was small.
It's a picture by
Eyelash.
Oh, thanks, man. You make a wish.
I just blew.
This is a count of you make it.
There was actually two, so
right.
You can have one of my wishes. We wish for the same thing most of the time.
We
Anyway.
do. Yeah, the artwork, the picture is a picture by a photographer called Bruce Davidson, and it's a picture taken in a circus in Ireland. I think it was the 60s, 50s, 60s.
60s, I think, yeah.
Yeah, called Duffy's. And I guess it was an image that just came up. Since we started releasing music, all the artwork we used were old photographs taken in Ireland that represented a character or a very small part of life, but that has a lot of meaning.
I like the album cover because it sort of encapsulates the sort of facade of performance versus reality. Like, you know, like to me, the horses involved in the cover and the circus are distressed, you know, and the audience, I think there's a suspension of disbelief involved in order for the audience to enjoy it. So there's kind of like a temporary forgetting of reality in order to be able to kind of exist and live, you know, and that's a theme that we explore on a couple of the tunes in the album. It's quite painful for me to discuss what the songs are about lyrically. So I'll just tell you the least meaningful and least painful one to discuss, which is probably just The Lots, which is about a pub called The Lots on the end of a street called the North Lots. And we used to practice on the street, and it used to be like, it was covered with syringes. You had to watch your step. So the pub itself was a theatre for escape. In another sense, the practice space, which was just a few doors down, was a theatre for another form of escape. And it was kind of just when we walk out of one or the other, the difference between the two was nuanced and accentuated. It was kind of just about what are you actually striving for, like, you know what I mean? Like for what are you trying to live, you know what I mean? If you are trying to live, and yeah, that's not much of a story, but that's just me explaining it, I suppose. Yeah, we did it with Dan Kerry, and we did it all like live. We kind of so we had bits of tape because Dan thought it would be best for us to record on tape, and basically I'd be standing there without a mic, kind of just like looking everyone in the eye, mouthing the lyrics, and the rest of the lads would be, I mean, someone would say that the tape's rolling, and then we'd perform 3 or 4 tracks in a row with no stops. And what would happen is, if someone made a mistake on the 4th take or the 4th track, you know, of that 4 in a row, then we'd have to go back to the start of the whole tape and begin the first song again. There was a sense of immediacy in the room that we were hoping made it onto the record itself, you know.
Yeah, I think Dan tried to do that a lot, like, even with Liberty Bell. That was probably the song that we could just, we can just play that in our sleep, and Dan just felt like it just felt like that there was no, like, that kind of like urgency and that bit of anxiety that should be in that performance.
Yeah, I think the important lesson was that, like, nobody wants to listen to a band that sounds entirely comfortable, you know what I mean?
My childhood was small. My childhood was...
The idea of being nominated isn't something that we really aspired to when we wrote the album. Now we're in a position in which we can enjoy it and appreciate it, you know. And my mother's reaction when I told her that we were nominated for a Mercury Prize was kind of, that's half the prize won for me, like, you know what I mean?
My mother didn't really know what the prize was. So she was excited that we got in the in-flight magazine for an airline.
That was pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've gotta be